So Mark Carney just dropped his pick for US ambassador, and Quebec is collectively side-eyeing their coffee like it just turned into decaf. Mark Wiseman, investment banker extraordinaire and Carney's buddy from the Bay Street Boys Club, is heading south to schmooze with the Americans. Sounds fine, right? Wrong. Because apparently, Wiseman has some baggage that's heavier than a poutine truck at 3 a.m., and Quebecers are not here for it. We're talking Century Initiative ties, supply management shade, and a whole lot of did he just forget we exist, energy. Buckle up, because today we're diving into why this appointment has Quebec ready to revoke Carney's poutine privileges, and whether this diplomatic drama is just noise or an actual electoral nightmare waiting to happen. Welcome back to Canadian Insights, where we break down the chaos so you don't have to. Let's set the stage here. Mark Carney, fresh off his election win where Quebec handed him 44 seats like a golden ticket to Willy Wonka's majority factory, decides his first big ambassador move is Mark Wiseman. Now, Wiseman isn't just some random guy with a briefcase and a firm handshake. This is a heavyweight player from the world of high finance, someone who's been deep in the investment game for years. On paper, makes sense, right? You want someone who speaks Wall Street fluently when you're dealing with Washington. But here's where it gets spicy. Wiseman has been linked to the Century Initiative, this think tank that's been pushing for Canada to triple its population to 100 million by 2100. And if you're thinking that sounds ambitious, you'd be right. If you're thinking Quebec is thrilled about that vision, you'd be hilariously wrong. The Century Initiative is basically the turbocharged immigration advocate that makes even optimistic Canadians raise an eyebrow. Their whole thing is grow, grow, grow. More people, bigger economy, manifest destiny vibes but with maple syrup. Sounds great in a boardroom, but in Quebec? Not so much. Quebec has been pretty vocal about managing immigration on their own terms, preserving French language and culture, and not being treated like an afterthought in federal plans. So when Carney picks someone associated with mass immigration advocacy, it reads less like thoughtful diplomacy and more like, hey Quebec, remember all those concerns you have? Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and ignore those. It's like bringing a vegan to a steakhouse and acting surprised when they're not thrilled about the menu. But wait, there's more. Wiseman also isn't exactly a fan of supply management, that system Canada uses to protect dairy, poultry, and egg farmers by controlling production and imports. Quebec loves supply management. It's basically sacred. You mess with dairy farmers in Quebec, and you might as well walk into a Tim Hortons and declare coffee is overrated. Wiseman has been critical of it in the past, calling it protectionist and inefficient. Now, whether he's right or wrong economically is debatable, but politically, this is a landmine covered in cheese curds. Quebec farmers are already nervous, the Bloc Québécois is sharpening their rhetorical knives, and Part 1 Québécois MNA Pascal Paradis dropped this gem. Mark Carney is proving once more that he is adhering to the good old federal tradition of not caring about Quebec. Ouch. That's not just criticism, that's a political burn that's gonna leave a mark. Now here's the million-dollar question. Does this actually hurt Carney, or is it just noise? Michel Brault, who worked with liberal heavyweights like Melanie Joly and Pablo Rodriguez for a decade, doesn't think this one decision will tank Carney's relationship with Quebec. But, and this is a big but, it could become part of a pattern. It's like when your friend flakes on plans once, you're cool. Twice, you're annoyed. 3 times? You're questioning the friendship. If Carney keeps making moves that feel tone-deaf to Quebec, those 44 seats start looking shaky. The Bloc is already circling like sharks who smell blood in the water, and the PQ is gleefully stirring the pot provincially. This isn't just about Wiseman. It's about whether Quebec feels seen, heard, and respected by Ottawa. And right now, the vibe is off. Let's zoom out for a second. Quebec gave Carney almost enough seats to govern alone. That's huge. That's trust. That's we believe you get us energy. But trust is fragile, especially in a province with a long history of feeling sidelined by federal governments. Every move Carney makes is being watched through a microscope in Quebec City, and this Wiseman pick is getting scrutinized like a suspicious ingredient list. The optics are rough. You've got a guy tied to mass immigration advocacy and critical of systems Quebec holds dear, and is being sent to represent Canada to the United States. It feels less like strategic diplomacy and more like a signal that Quebec's priorities are secondary. Whether that's fair or not doesn't really matter. Perception is reality in politics, and the perception right now is not great. So what happens next? Carney's team is probably in damage control mode, prepping statements about respecting Quebec's autonomy and protecting supply management. There'll be photo ops in Montreal, maybe a speech in French that hits all the right notes. But here's the thing. Quebecers have seen this movie before. They know when they're being managed versus when they're being genuinely prioritized. If Carney wants to keep those 44 seats and build the majority he's chasing, he's going to need to do more than smooth talk. He's going to need to show Quebec that their concerns aren't just footnotes in federal policy but central to his vision. Otherwise, the Bloc is going to have a field day in the next election, and those seats might just evaporate like snow in April. And that's the tea, folks. Mark Wiseman's appointment might seem like inside baseball to the rest of Canada, but in Quebec, it's a full-blown political statement, and not the good kind. Whether this becomes a serious problem for Carney or just a minor speed bump depends entirely on what he does next. One thing's for sure, Quebec is watching, and they've got long memories. If you found this breakdown helpful, smash that like button, subscribe to Canadian Insights for your daily dose of Canadian political chaos, and drop a comment below. Do you think Carney can recover from this, or is this the start of a Quebec problem he can't fix? Let's talk about it. We post multiple videos a day, so hit that notification bell and stay in the loop. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.